Thank you for joining me tonight on episode 2 of Posting Up with BBallDream. Got a good one tonight. I'm excited to talk to this guy. I haven't seen him in a long time because of COVID. Coach, tell us your name and what school you at.
Coach Erik Lyslo, Gresham High School. Really good to see you, buddy. It's been a long time. It's been too long.
It's been too long. It's been too long. Okay, Coach, let's get it started. So, where are you born and raised?
Born and raised here in Portland. I've been here all my life. Never had any desire to move, and I love it.
Nice. Growing up, elementary, middle school, what sports did you play? Did you play, I'm assuming basketball. Did you play anything else?
Oh, yeah. No, we played them all. Basketball, baseball, football, soccer, anything we could do to stay busy, we did it. And, my parents were great. They, pushed us to do the things we wanted to do. And, there wasn't a time we were not playing something growing up. So, played them all.
Yeah, that's awesome. Less video games, more outside. I like
That's
it.
right.
I like it. So let's fast forward. So when you got to high school, what high school did you go to?
I went to Reynolds High School out in Troutdale.
Yep. That's a rival school right there.
That's right.
Back in the Mount Hood. Was it Mount Hood back then?
It was Mount Hood. Yeah, it looked a little different. We had I think Hood River Valley was in, for a couple of years there. But everybody else, Park Rose was still in. So it looked a little bit different, but the same teams, other than maybe Clackamas, were in, that we see now. So yeah, a lot of familiar faces even now.
Gotcha. Did you play in high school? Did you play basketball, anything in high school?
I did. Yeah, I played 4 years, Reynolds. We had a great program. We had a really good group. We all grew up together. We all played, whether it was YMCA, Golden Ball, AAU, we did all that stuff. Oregon Prep. Back when that was a thing, our group really was tight. We stayed together, 2 state tournament appearances.
That's awesome.
Reynolds hasn't, seen that in a long time. So,
right.
It's definitely a sleeping giant out there. And, I still live fairly close and I keep up with what they do, but yeah, they are a rival. So,
right.
We keep our distance as much as we can.
Yeah, there you go. Did you happen to play college sports, college ball, anything?
I had junior college opportunities to play, and I tore up my ankle going right into my freshman year, and it really set me back. I had planned on playing at Mount Hood for a couple of years, and after I tore my ankle up, I really got into my my studies and in school, and at that point, I had thoughts of going back and playing.
Yeah.
I had some opportunities to play Eastern Oregon. Good friend of mine played there. I had a chance to play there, and I kind of turned it down and focused on my studies at that point, and really paid off, which was a good thing.
Yeah, good for you. Way to keep it going and finish your education. That's important. It's not just always about sports.
Right.
Okay, so graduate from college. Let's move on to coaching.
Yeah.
When did you start coaching, and who inspired you to do it?
I actually started when I was in college. I coached a couple middle school teams through the Reynolds School District. Got into coaching at the high school level. Started with JV2, JV, assistant varsity, and then from there, that's when I got my job at the Trailblazers. And so I went from kind of getting through school and grinding, like I was coaching, really thought that was going to be something I wanted to do. And, the Blazer opportunity came up, and, I was one of 3 PR people on our staff in the NBA. We're the smallest PR staff in the NBA. I think at one point I was the youngest PR guy. And just the experience, being able to be around not only some of the best players in the world, but also some of the best coaches, skill developers, being able to run, the camp program for them and be around, again, some of these coaches that do this at the highest level was fantastic. I called it about a 7-year internship for me as far as coaching went.
Yeah.
But it was a great experience and wouldn't trade it for anything.
Who was the coach at that point at the Blazers?
When I started, Mike Dunleavy was the coach, and I'll tell you, that guy was tireless. I mean, it was incredible what he did. Tim Gergrich was on that staff. Gergrich is, one of the best skill developers.
Oh, yeah.
Big men. He'd work Pete Newell's camps, every summer. I mean, the relationships he had with players was incredible. So Dunleavy was great. Mo Cheeks came in after him. Mo had never been a coach, but Mo is one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet. I still keep in touch with Mo. He was just a great guy. Brought in some great assistant coaches, Jimmy Lynham, Dan Panaggio was a big CBA guy. Learned a ton from those guys. And again, Mo had a veteran team, and he did what he could, with what we had. And then Nate McMillan came in, and Kevin Pritchard kind of took over there, and then Nate McMillan came in. So I didn't know Pritchard as well. Was a nice guy, but Nate came in, and Nate was just a breath of fresh air.
Nice.
Old school guy, defensive guy, no nonsense, which is exactly what that group needed. Which sort of that mid 2000s there. And again, I worked a bunch of his camps for a number of years, and just a great guy.
Nice. Wow, that's a great opportunity. I forgot about that. Thanks for reminding me. Like, we talked about this before, but I totally forgot about that. That's an awesome experience, man. That's really cool.
Really
so
was.
with the Blazers, you're hanging around the top level coaches, seeing players and watching what they do. When you left the Blazers, is that when you went back? Did you go back into coaching then, or was
it was funny running all those camps all those years. I had really good relationships with all the high school coaches in the Portland area, because I would bring them on, to help work some of our camps. So Greg Griffith, Greg was, he's still over there at Rex Putnam, just a great guy. He and I worked camps, for the Blazers for a long time. So I had offers to go coach in high school. I had a couple, college assistant offers. I just didn't go down that road yet. It's funny, I transitioned from the NBA to Major League Soccer. So, I've had the luxury of working for, both professional teams here in the city, which is great. So, there was a little gap there where I still worked camps. I still helped coaches out in the summer. And then finally, when I started with the Timbers, probably 10, 11, 12 years ago, I had an offer to coach in high school, and I took it. And I decided that was something I wanted to get back into. I had really enjoyed doing what I did with Reynolds back in the day, and then the stuff with the Blazers for all those years. And being able to actually go coach in high school and having the time to do it, really something I didn't have time to do when I was with the Blazers. So I had more time to do it. I jumped on the opportunity. And so Portland Christian was a great start for me. That was a great, just a traditionally loaded program. We got there at kind of a different time. They were going through a transition, but that was a great opportunity to say, okay, I'm going to get back into this. I'm going to go to a private school, a good program, and start putting all this stuff together that I've sort of gathered, over the last 6, 7, 8 years.
Yeah. I knew you was working with the Timbers. I'm not sure if you're still there now.
I am. Yep, still there.
One of my good friends speak highly of you, Melanie Langley.
Oh yeah, Mel Langley, good friend.
Yeah, she speaks highly of you.
She's a great coach. Yeah.
So you started at Portland Christian at 2000. What year? What was your first year?
Oh wow, that's a great question, Brandon. Probably not 2009 or 10. May have been even later than that. I can't remember honestly.
Okay.
It's 10 years has gone by quick.
real fast. Yeah. Okay, so what was it like your first year at Portland Christian? Like, how was the experience?
The kids were great. The administration was great. Parents were great. Those private schools, and you were there too.
Yeah.
There's expectations for not only, those schools to do well, but, for kids to play. And, there's a talent gap, unless you're real lucky and you get a good solid group. I came in and I had a pretty good group. you know, it's funny. I came in my first year, and the football team was just loaded at PC, and they were actually played in the state championship game that year.
And you guys 2A at this point?
2A at the time. Yep. 2A. Yep. We lost our entire preseason. I was playing. I mean, we went through our first 8 to 10 games in the preseason or whatever it was with, you know, freshmen, JV. We didn't have our core group at all. We were missing 8 to 10 guys. And so that was really hard as a new coach coming in. You have a certain style and things you want to implement, and you lose your whole preseason. So we got off to a slow start, but we really picked it up late in the season. Had a pretty good run, had some good players, ended up losing in the playoffs. But, you know, it was a good experience. It was one that, you know, again, not having a preseason as a new coach with new kids, you know, I learned a heck of a lot. And I always tell coaches this: you want to learn how to coach, you know, go coach at some of those smaller schools, because you know as well as I do,
yeah,
you know, you're pulling kids from the hallways and you're doing everything you can to, you know, create 2 teams, you know, or even, you know, 3 if you're lucky. So, you know, it's you definitely learn a heck of a lot. It was a great experience, and we got better as we went along there, for sure.
Yeah, well, I know for a fact you guys got way better. And I agree with what you're saying. At the smaller school level, you know, it goes from like when you're at the bigger schools, it's talent and it's size everywhere.
Yeah.
But when you go down to like 1A, 2A, and 3A,
yeah,
you're in the hallways. Oh, you're
right.
6'6". Don't worry,
Yeah,
you can do something to help us. You know, like,
you know it. Hey, you remember? I'm telling you, that's exactly right. And I didn't work at the school, so
yeah. Oh, me neither.
Yeah, you know, so you got a day job, and it's like, okay, who's coming out to tryouts? And you have open gyms, you have meetings,
of course,
you have an idea. But you're right. You see a 6'5" kid walking down the hallway, and it's like, how come you're not out here in open gym? Right
yeah.
now? Where have you been? You know,
right.
You can get away with guys like that at that level. So it was a great experience. I loved it. You know, again, young coaches, you're looking for opportunities. You're looking for, you know, lessons on how to coach. Those smaller schools are great opportunities.
Okay. No, I agree. So we're going to fast forward a little bit. Okay. So after Portland Christian, because again, you had a heck of a run there. You did a really good job, solid job. Guys went from like slowly competing to like competing every night. You move on to Faith Bible.
Yeah, went to Faith Bible for a year. Again, it was an opportunity where I knew somebody who knew somebody who, you know, they were looking for a coach. I was honestly going to take that year off, and
yeah.
You know, it was great. It was a good 3-4 year stretch there.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to take a little break. I had a new, you know, we had really young kids, my wife and I, and thought, you know, this would be a good year to just take a year off and make sure I'm at home and taking care of that. And then this opportunity came up, and, you know, I sort of hemmed and hawed at it a little bit. And then finally I said, okay, you know, we'll do it. I'll do it. Again, another small school, great experience, great kids, great families, you know, private school. So again, you've got those expectations. We had a good year, a good solid year for what we had talent wise. But I knew after that year, I was ready to move on. I was ready for, you know, the bigger schools, and I'd had some opportunities to move up and coach at some of the bigger schools. And I knew after that year with Faith that I was ready to go. You know, I was ready to come up to the 6A level and see what we got.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. So at the Faith Bible, that spring, you applied for the Gresham job.
Yeah. Yep. I had another friend who forwarded me the information and said, hey, this would be a great opportunity. So I said, yeah, you know, I was always really surprised because Gresham was, you know, very competitive in all sports. So it was an interesting, you know, opportunity for me that, you know, I jumped on and, you know, ended up working out pretty well.
Yeah, it did. So your first summer there at Gresham, right? You're coming from the small school, right?
Yeah.
You're back to the Mount Hood, your roots, right?
That's right. Yeah.
What was it like What was that? What was that feeling like? What was the first thing you did when you when
Boy,
you when you
you
got there?
know, we got there that spring. Really, it was at the end of the school year, so we were sort of trying to put summer league teams together. And we
Hold
ended
on,
up
real
getting
quick. Tell us who your first hire was.
first hire, Cuddy, Coach
Yeah,
Kittleson, Ben Kittleson. Yeah,
yeah,
Cuddy's, and Cuddy well. Cuddy's great. Had did some coaching at Portland State. While when you were there,
yeah.
grad assistant stuff. So he had a great college background. He's one of my best friends. My wife and his wife are really good friends. First hire, and I told him, I said, I was offered the job, and I go, hey, look, I'm not going to do this unless you come with me, because this is going to take a little while to get this
Right.
thing turned around.
Mm-hmm.
And so we talked about it, and he said, hey, it's 6A, that we've got nowhere to go but up. And I said, yeah. I said, I know it's going to take some time though. We're gonna lose some games, but he jumped on it as soon as he said yes. Then I said, okay, I'm ready to take the job. We'll go do this.
Gotcha, gotcha. So that summer you meet the kids, right?
Yeah,
They don't know you. You don't know them. You're coming in, a situation where at the point where Gresham was in the rebuilding process at this point,
no
right?
question.
You
Yeah,
know, they were
yeah.
they were working their way up. They were close to the bottom. You guys are coming in. What was that first meeting like? Because it's always that first meeting when you take over a new program. You got to your standards. What was
No
that? What was
question.
that like?
No question. Yeah, you've got to set the tone. And we knew it coming in. We were ranked dead last in the state. I mean,
Yeah.
it was, people called Gresham the O for Gophers, because they couldn't win a game.
Mm-hmm.
And 50 some conference game losing streak. And, I will say that the coach that was there before me was a really good guy.
He
He's
was.
the football coach at Gresham.
Yep.
And I think it was really tough for him to be able to manage both, a high school basketball program and football. And he's done
Especially at
some
the
great
six,
things.
especially at the
Yeah,
6A level. There's some coaches do
absolutely.
it in like smaller schools, and you can kind of figure it out. But at the 6A level, it was a tough
Absolutely.
spot for him.
It was, and he's a really good guy. And I know that they did what they could with limited resources, and so I would never put a guy like that down. But
Yeah.
we came in and they were where they were. I mean, we were 50 out of 50, dead last, 50th in the state. That first meeting you mentioned, it was you got to set the tone. You got to lay out what your expectations are. And I think, I knew coming in that I'd been told it was a pretty toxic environment. You had kids that, wasn't a whole lot of accountability there. Kids were missing stuff, not good in the classroom. It was just a really tough situation. So I told the kids what my expectations were.
Mm-hmm.
I said, character is going to be the very first thing we look at in players. And I said, if you can't pass that character test, I don't care how many points a game you average, you're not going to play for me. And, guys will challenge you. They'll push the envelope and see. And that we saw that as we went through. But we gave everybody a fair shot. We said, look, clean slate. It's up to you guys to, prove to me that you want to follow how we're going to, run this program. And character is the first thing. Are you coachable? Can we get into you and teach you and coach you? Are you going to take the coaching? Are you a good teammate? Are you good in the classroom? Do you create problems or do you solve problems? I mean, those are the four things I always ask kids. And I'm like, if you can get past those four things, then I'll look at you as a player.
Right.
And so, that first meeting was great. I think there was some excitement. I think there were kids that, you kind of knew we're going to push the envelope. We saw it in summer league. You saw technical fouls. You saw just terrible attitudes toward each other. And for me, it was just a matter of sitting back and watching and evaluating and saying, okay,
Yeah,
this is
you haven't
not
had
how
a
this is
team
going to
yet.
be.
Right.
Yeah.
You evaluate the players,
Yeah.
during the off season, summer league. You're evaluating them. I totally agree with you on that one. And you see
And I want to
what
say we finished with a 500 record in summer league that year. Not that you put a whole lot of emphasis in summer league wins and losses, but for them it was, and for us it was because they had not been used to winning and they didn't know how to do it. And we even saw, I mean, just closing out a game and winning a game, they had no idea how to act. They had no idea how to respond to the other team walking through a handshake line. I mean, it was just things like that to where you were like, wow, this whole environment has to change. And so it was an eye opener. It was really good experience for Cuddy and I to see it. You know, I brought on another coach, Dominic Fioria. Dom's a really good friend of mine. He's actually coaching at Clark Community College now, so he's coaching in college, which is great. You know, and we, you know, it's like I said, we came in. I remember asking the athletic director at the time. I said, you know, where's all of our equipment? We had 5 basketballs total for the entire program. 5.
This is 6A. Let's make sure we get this. This is the biggest school. This is the biggest classification in Oregon.
6A. 5 basketballs. We had no practice gear. Uniforms were in rough shape. I mean, we had nothing. And I think our budget was 500 or 600 in the hole. And so I'm kind of going, wow.
In the hole.
In the hole. So, you know, we were behind the 8 ball for sure. And, you know, and that sort of led into how, you know, I build my programs and, you know, starting with our youth and slowly we got out of that situation, you know, uniforms, basketballs, shooting machines, you know,
Hold on, slow down. We're going to get to that. Slow down. Let's work our way up to the story. It's like a story. Don't give them everything just yet. Let's start back to 5 basketballs. Okay.
All right, 5 basketballs.
So, right. So you come in with 5 basketballs. There's not much equipment. You know, preseason, you guys had a solid job going 500. Okay. Now the season comes around, right? How was it going into how was the first season after everything went through?
Yeah, it was, you know, after summer league, I think guys were pretty excited. And what they found out about us is that we're in the gym all the time. That's where we want to be. And so 4 or 5 nights a week, you know, the gym's open and we're there for 2 hours. And I think kids were just kind of shocked that, you know, we were willing to be in there and work with them the whole summer, you know, up until you're sort of locked out of the gym, you know, for fall sports and things like that. But we were in the gym every night and the kids were they couldn't believe it. And so so skill development was obviously something that we had to see. I mean, you had kids that had no feeder program. Most of our kids that ended up being with us didn't have any experience, you know, they started playing basketball their freshman year, organized basketball. And so you're looking at this going, wow, you know, we're way behind and we have to try and speed this up. So skill development was a big thing for us. We were in the gym 4 or 5 nights a week.
And this is
more than a lot of schools.
And this is after the first season. After the first season was over.
After summer league, yeah.
Yeah.
Going into that first season, okay.
No
question. You know, fall, we sort of, you know, we had our fall workouts going, that into the season. And then we came to that point again where, you know, we had our expectations of players. And so we had, and I'm not joking. And again, the 2 kids, I hope they're doing well. I know one of them, you know, he and I got along pretty well after the fact. Our 2 top players, you know, on that team were toxic and we had to cut them. And we cut literally 25 points out of our starting lineup off a team that had won 2 or 3 games the year before.
Before your first year.
For the first year.
You had to do that, you know.
We knew that this would set us back and we knew that we would go from probably a 7-win team to what we came out to, which was a 2-win team.
2-win.
And we brought in some younger guys and started to build, you know, from the bottom up. You know, again, but to go back to that character thing, I think, you know, kids have heard it. They had, you know, coaches will talk about it, but until it's actually done, I think that, you know, kids responded the right way, which was fantastic. We didn't have any issues after that happened. After they saw our 2 top players not make that team, walk out of the gym, and that was it, as they were, you know, cussing us out and doing whatever they were doing.
Whatever. Yep.
You know, honestly, it set the tone for our program for how we were going to do things. And it was the best thing we ever did. And I love those 2 kids. And I've reached out to try and help them and do that. But it was something that had to be done. And I had teachers that I didn't even know, you know, that reached out and said, you know, finally somebody's had the guts to do that here. Thank you for doing that. Everybody noticed, and it's been a huge thing. So honestly, I think that's what set the tone for us for where our program is at and where we're going. And yeah, it was a tough year. We had 2 wins. You know, we got blown out of a lot of games. We were competitive, you know, as much as we could.
Yep.
We were losing games by, I'm not joking, they were losing games by 60 and 70 points, 80 points. And we were losing games by 20, 25 points. And I had parents coming up after games going, this is great. And I'm going, what is great?
What is great? Yeah.
We're only losing by 20, 25 instead of, you know, whatever we were. And that's not a knock on the other staff.
Nope.
But
it's just reality.
That's reality. That's what
reality. And you guys won 2 games that year. I remember why? Because I talked to Cuddy, and I was telling him before the season started, they only won 1 game the year before. If you could win 1 more game,
what it was,
one more game, that's some kind of success. Just get that 1 more game. And like you said before, the parents, now you got the community going, right? After you've done that, you go from losing about 80 to like 20. Now the community's looking at you like, okay, this is improvement. So season's over, right? Now you, Cuddy, what's the other coach named? Dominic?
Coach Dom. Yeah,
Dom.
We've had a few other coaches come through.
Yeah. You guys huddle up.
Mike Abrahamson. Mike was on our staff. Mike's a good guy, great guy. Yep.
You huddle up. Springtime. Now it's time to get going. Do you guys start really building that youth program that spring right there, or?
Absolutely. Yeah. The first thing we did, even going back to when we were hired in the spring, was, I've always said I'm going to build from the bottom up. You got to have a foundation. You got to have a future. So the first thing we did is we opened the gym up anytime we could, whether it was in the summer. Oh, absolutely. For summer, for camps, for clinics. We would do free open gym sessions where they could come in and work with the varsity staff. We run what's called our Gopher Academy, where we bring in, we tried to cap it at 20. It's typically around 50 or 60 now, because people they want to be a part of it. Mm-hmm. And for me, I've always said, I'm never going to be that guy that makes you go fundraise and sell pepperoni or whatever. All of our fundraising is always going to be done on the floor. It's always going to be a win-win. Our players are going to get better. If there's a little bit of money that comes in for camps or whatever, great. It goes all right back into our program.
Yep.
And I think our guys saw that. We were just doing so much. We created a youth program with teams. They'd sort of had a combo youth program where Barlow was running the Gresham youth program, and which is beyond me, being that they're typically our rival or Gresham's rival, and so we took that over and created our own teams and our own infrastructure, and that's grown tremendously now. So those are the things we did that first year, and it's just built. Continued to build and build over these last 4 years, and it's been really fun to see. Really has. But to answer your question, after that first season in the spring, we were excited because we knew we had young guys coming through that were talented. We knew we were going to be better. We knew there was a senior group that was really just, they were rough. They were tough, and they kind of left, and we had this new culture in there. And we were excited. And, going into that season, that off season, we were pretty excited.
So going into your second year, was Ethan in a school yet?
He was, yeah. Ethan was actually with us his freshman year. So that first year we were there, and he was immediately put in our starting lineup. I mean, we put him out there during tryouts, and he was the best shooter on the floor. There was no question. And we needed shooting. And we said, you know what, let's throw him into the fire, because this kid's going to be, a star for us in 2-3 years. And he was. He broke the school scoring record, this last year as a senior. So it was a great decision. We took a lot of flack from that, parents and people, but it was one of the best decisions we made.
Mm-hmm. So now you're going into your second year. Okay. You have Ethan's a sophomore now. You had one other kid.
Ethan, we had
was Diamond there yet?
Daniel was there the year before. He was part of that group that left. We had Christian Turner, we had Charles Ndazier, who actually ended up finishing at Barlow. But we had a good young core group. We had a JV group that had some really good success with Cuddy coaching them. So they were really excited to come in. We were so much more competitive that second year. I mean, it was one of those where you went from losing, by 20 and 25, and now you're, it's 8 and 10, right? And so you're like, you're right there. You're probably one player away from being a 500 type team. We ended up winning 5 games that year. We probably should have won a couple more. We lost a few at the end with our youth. Probably bad coaching, but it was one of those things where you went from 2 to 5 wins, and again, people were so excited. And as a coach, you're going, I'm 5-19. I don't know about that. But you honestly could see things progressing, and we felt like year 3 was going to be the year that we broke out, and that's exactly what happened.
Okay, so just to catch up viewers that's coming on late, started at Portland Christian at a 2A school. Portland Christian moved up 3A school. Again, you picked up a program that was going through like a rebuild, moved, got those guys winning, playoff contention every year, competing every night. You go into Faith Bible, go back from 3A to 2A, you go there 1 year. After that 1 year, you got hired in the Mount Hood with Gresham, right? So, hired at Gresham, take over a program, again, rebuilding, went from 1 win before you got there to 2 wins. Now you're going into year 2, and you find a little groove. You won in 5 or 6 games, and you're competing better.
Yeah.
Year 3, now we're starting to get a little warmed up. Let's talk about year 3. What was that like, and who was on the team that year?
Yeah, we felt really good. I mean, Ethan was obviously he was going to become a junior.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he had gone from 9 points a game his freshman year to 20 points a game his sophomore year. So the development, that we saw from him was great. So we knew we could count on him for 18 to 20 a night. Now it was, okay, can we figure out the other, 40 to 45 it's going to take to win some games? And, our group started to come together. Those freshmen that we got when we first got there were now juniors. They knew our system. They knew everything we did. They bought in. They were at all our workouts. And then we got really lucky in the summer. We had 2 kids that transferred in. One came in from Barlow, Diallo Portman Chapman, who had a really good year, really good career at Barlow. And we were really surprised because they had just gone on a really good run.
A really good run.
And he was a huge part of that. So we were very surprised. I know his dad went to Gresham, and, he was playing behind, Jesse White and Inglesby, two big-time college players now. So I think he probably saw an opening at Gresham, and he came over, and you never know how the transfer thing's going to work, but it worked out well for him. And he became our point guard. And so we added another 15 points right there. And then Eric Puslik, another kid who, moved into our district. He was at Reynolds. He had grown up with all those Gresham guys. They all played together. Again, we got lucky that, these 2 kids came in because they were talented. But it was a conversation early on where, we all said as a staff, man, we don't want, this is not what we want to be known as, a school that has all these transfers coming in and stuff. But I think what we began to hear, which was, I guess a cool thing, is people began to hear and see what we did in the summertime, in the off season, what we did for our players, going out of town, doing retreats. I mean, people heard about this stuff.
Kids talk. Kids talk.
They do. And I honestly think, I've lost players to rival schools, and I don't complain about it. It happens. You always kind of look in the mirror and say, why did that happen? But, it happens. I think these kids see college players going into transfer portals all the time. You see NBA guys going and playing with their buddies. I just think, and you hope it doesn't go this way, but, high school kids are finding ways to put themselves in better situations. We never thought about that or did that stuff when we were going through school, but it's just stuff that happens now, and whether you lose a kid or you gain a kid, it happens everywhere. So I'm not going to complain about it. I don't want to be known as a school that just brings transfers in, because we don't do that. And it's a conversation I have with my AD. We talk about it all the time. What do we got to do to, stop this? And the same conversation comes up. These kids are seeing what we're doing, and they want to come in. They want to be a part of it. So, if they move and parents move and do all that stuff, more power to them. But
it has nothing to do with you.
Nothing I can do about it. So,
yeah.
So go ahead.
So going into year 3, now you got a scoring Ethan, and you got a big-time point guard.
Yeah.
How did the season go for you?
It was fun. It was such a fun team, and we felt like we were a playoff team even without those 2 kids coming in. We felt like we were ready to take a really good jump to 11, 12 wins, which probably could have got you in the playoffs that year. Adding these 2 guys got us to 15 wins. So, to go from 2 to 5 to 15, we had, that second year we had broke the 50-some game conference losing streak that Gresham had. That third year, obviously, we started beating teams that, Gresham hadn't beaten,
in a while.
Some of these guys weren't even born the last time, we had beaten Clackamas and some of these schools. So, you know, that was a great year. It was a fun year. And it was a bonus to get to the postseason. That was our goal. And we got there, and we ended up taking Oregon City down to the final 10 seconds of that game in their gym. And Oregon City goes on to, you know, to destroy, I think it was South Eugene the next week. And then they're in the state tournament. They're playing in the Child Center. So we sat there and looked at that and went, you know, we were that close to probably being a state tournament team. So we were really excited about that group. It just created a hunger, you know, within the guys that were coming back, guys like Ethan and Cyrus and all these Sam and all these guys that, you know, saw that and went, man, we're so close.
Right.
And so that, you know, that sort of led into, you know, this last season where we had, you know, even more success. So it was great.
Now we're here. Now we're here. So now, like you just said, Gresham, first year, 2-win season. Okay. Losing games by 20. Second year, 5 games. You win 5 games. The community's starting to back you up. They're happy. Third year, come in, you get an elite point guard. Ethan's scoring a bunch, and you got some quality role players. I went and watched the game that year. And you get up to 15 wins, and you're close, and you almost make the playoffs. Year 4.
We were in the playoffs. We did.
Oh, yes. You were in the playoffs. Yeah. You got there. You made it. Year 4. Talk about the summer going into year 4.
Yeah, boy, you know, again, I think after year 3, our guys were really excited about what they saw. They figured out what it takes to get to that level, to be a postseason team. So we knew coming into our 4th year that we had a group that had been with us now for 3 years going into their 4th. So this was the year that, you know, we needed to, you know, sort of take another step and see where we can go. And, you know, our you know, I will say it's the toughest I've seen them out in conference in a number of years. The amount of individual talent
this
past year,
I think it was number 1
overall.
If you go overall talent, like 1 through 8? How many teams in it?
Yeah, 8 teams in the Child Center, and 3 of them came from our conference.
Right,
and we felt like we were right there, you know, as far as being another one of those teams. And, you know, it was a fun season. Again, we got lucky. We had 2 kids that came into Gresham, you know, Elijah Munyon and Asaya Pippa White. You know,
talk about Elijah really quick.
Oh, incredible ceiling, and he hasn't even tapped it yet. You know, his athletic ability is the one thing that jumps off the page when you watch him. This is his senior year.
He's a senior. Okay,
he's a young senior though. Yeah. So, but he 40-inch vertical. He's 6'4.5" now. He's put on 10, 15 pounds of muscle. I mean, you know, we're fingers crossed we get a chance to work with him this senior year, but incredible talent, a ceiling that he hasn't come close to. College coaches absolutely love him. You know, we're talking to coaches daily, you know, that are very interested in him. Grade-wise, he struggled a little bit his first 2 years at Columbia Christian. And so that's hurt him a little bit as far as, you know, where he can go and what he might be able to do. But boy, just an unbelievable talent, an even better kid, great support at home. Dad's just an amazing guy. And, you know, he's been great. And I will tell you, it was an adjustment for him last year. You know, we had
for him, yeah, for sure, because he came from Columbia Christian. They won a state title. He won a state title.
You got Ben Gregg on that team.
Ben Gregg on that team.
Absolutely. So it was an adjustment for him to come in and know that there were guys as good as him, and consistently he had to bring it every night. And we saw it when he was off, or he wasn't, you know, maybe the guy that we thought he could be on a particular night. We didn't play well as a team. And so that was quite a learning experience for us and him. And it was great. It was baptism under fire for him. And it just, to see his motivation here in the off season, you know, working out with trainers, hitting the weight room, you know, his grades, his first quarter, the kid almost had a 4.0, all A's, and I think 1 B. I mean, just so proud of his effort. We've been talking to his counselors and, you know, Dad and myself. Dad gets the credit on that. But, you know, it's just amazing to see where he's come and how focused he is right now. So sky's the limit for him. And I'm just hoping we can get a season in so he can get some more video, you know, to show coaches.
Yeah, he's definitely improved from since day one to where he's at today. No question about it.
Yep.
Next kid you want to talk about? You know, I even have Elijah in my top 10
Oh,
in the
I agree.
2021
I
class.
agree.
I feel like he's right there with that group. When he turns it
I
on, he can
When
turn
you
it
see
on.
him now, there's no question. Yeah, there's no question. His game is night and day, and I thought he was talented last year, but this year it's just a different level. He kind of reminds me of Freddie Jones a little bit. I remember playing against Freddie, when he was at Barlow, and Freddie had sort of that flat shot, but he elevated off the floor. He could attack the basket, incredible leaping ability. Elijah's got a little bit of that. He looks a little bit more like him now. And boy, if he has anything close to a career that Freddie Jones had, then it's great for Elijah. Asaya, great kid. I mean, one of the most talented kids in the state for his age group.
Sophomore.
He's a sophomore now. I mean, it takes a heck of a lot for me to put a freshman on the floor at the varsity level at 6A, but that kid was I hadn't seen a freshman like that. I remember putting Ethan there 4 years ago, and Ethan was a deer in the headlights, but he could shoot the ball. That's just something we needed. Asaya can run the show, and he's got 8 Division I offers already. I mean, he was, I think, second or third in the state in assists. He didn't shoot the ball as well as we know he can, but again, I think this was an adjustment for him, playing against guys that are 3 years older than him every night. And, they know who he is, and they're going after him, and they're getting into him. And he has to learn, I think, how to control a game a little bit better, but he will. His dad's a fantastic trainer. He's working with him all the time. He's working with some other trainers, which is great. But, this kid, not only has he gotten bigger, stronger, faster, just the way he sees the floor, just does things that normal players just don't do. So, I mean, to see him where he was at last year and now, and to think that we've got 2-3 more years with him, I mean, he's going to be an all-state player. I wouldn't be surprised if he breaks Ethan's scoring record, and he's going to be one that you hear about for a long time.
Gotcha. Yes. Now let's get to it. Year 4. Like you said, last year, your end of your third year, winning 15 games. The community's behind you.
Yeah.
Year 4. Let's talk about year 4. You got to start off pretty good.
We did. Yeah, we had a great preseason. We had a lighter schedule, and there's not much you can do about that because it's kind of you're on a 2-year cycle with teams you play. But hey, we play who's in front of us, and we got off to I think we were 9-1 in the preseason.
Yep.
We had a game against Aloha that we lost, but we had a conference game with Central, sort of gapped in between another trip to Medford. So a really challenging week there. McNary, Central Catholic, North Medford, all state playoff teams. We ended up winning all 3 of those that week. And remember, we didn't have a gym last year.
That's
we were the
what
only team.
That's what I wanted to bring up.
Yeah, we played all 25 games away in somebody else's gym, and I don't care what anybody says. We all know that you play better in your home gym.
Yeah.
And for 25 different nights, we had to go play in somebody else's gym. So
tell the people where your home gym was, where you had to play at.
Yeah, we played our home games at Barlow.
Rival school.
And Barlow, the rival school. And, they were great. They helped us and did a good job with that. But, you're playing the JV time slot, and then, Barlow and whoever they're playing that night gets the varsity time slot. So, I mean, we didn't have the fan support. It was just when you look at the light at the end of the tunnel, we have a brand new gym now that we can get into, which is state of the art. You guys are going to love it.
We'll get to that.
To get to that point, we had to go through a year like this where, we had some young guys and we were in somebody else's gym every night, and it affected us for sure, especially in conference play a little bit. But, you can't make excuses. There's nothing you can do about it. Both teams are playing on a 10-foot hoop on a floor, and you got to go out and win that night. And so we didn't make excuses, but there's no question. We all know you play better on your home floor typically when you're practicing there every day.
You're coming into your 4th season, no home court. Your gym is getting fixed up. 2 young players and Ethan leading the team. You go to Central Catholic, where I think personally is the stepping stone where I feel like you broke a lot of barriers. Talk to us about the mindset going to that game and guide us through it in your words.
You
Central
know,
Catholic is number one in the state at this
they were
point.
number one in the state. Yeah,
Number
they had
one in
just
the
come
state.
off. They just come off the Les Schwab, and they had done pretty well. We felt good. I mean, we've always played Central pretty competitively. You know, we had sort of seen it in year 3 where we played pretty well on our home floor. They got us pretty good at their place, but we felt coming into that game that, you know, we matched up with them pretty well. There were 3 or 4 things we knew we had to take away. We call them Central Catholic layups. I mean, they get 10 of them a game where it's a run out and there's nobody there, you know, and they've got all that length, that college length. And, you know, they get 20 points a game just on run outs with nobody defending them. So we knew we had to cut those out. You know, we knew we couldn't give up the offensive rebounds, and we won that battle that night. You know, we knew we couldn't turn the ball over and give them quick transition opportunities. And we just had to challenge everything. And, you know, we had to come in and you know, the motto that night was to be different. And we've got to be different tonight. We've got to be the aggressors. We've got to be the physical presence out there. And we did all 4 things. It was beautiful to watch because, you know, look, Central's got all that talent, and I love David Blue. He's a great guy, great coach.
Guy.
And it's hard for him because he's got all that talent. You got to get them motivated every night.
Yeah.
And on most nights, you know, typically Gresham walks in your gym, you're probably not going to be as motivated as when, say, Clackamas or somebody like that comes in. Mm-hmm. So, you know, but hey, for us, it was a great signature win. It was a stepping stone, like you said. It gave those guys confidence to know that when we played the right way, you know, we had a chance to beat anybody in the state and be as competitive as anybody. And by that point, you know, what I was most impressed with that week, it wasn't necessarily the way we beat Central. It was driving down 5 hours to North Medford, literally a day later.
Yep.
And in a trap game on a Saturday afternoon where, you know, I'm worried to death about that game more so than I am Central because guys are coming off, you beat number 1, you're on a 5-hour trip. We got sickness all over the place. It ended up biting us pretty good 2 weeks down the line, but you're on one bus with 3 teams going down there for 5 hours. And the fact that we went into that gym and handled that game and took care of business, that was more, I was more impressed with that than maybe I was the Central win, because that showed me that we had some grit and we had a good mindset that we could turn around and go win and play the way we were capable of. So, but yeah, the Central win was great. I was told we hadn't beat them in, you know, 15 years or something, 18 years or something like that. So again, before most of these guys were born, you know, so, you know, there was a lot of things that, you know, at that point we were looking pretty good, you know, 10-1, whatever we were at that point. So we felt pretty good going into conference play.
Yeah. After that win, I talked to a former player, alumni, Scott Gallagher, and right. He calls me up and we're talking, and he was just like, we're back. You know, because he still loves Gresham. You know, that's his school. And he just kept saying, we're back. And he's excited for you guys and what you guys accomplished that day. And like you said, you beat North Medford Saturday.
Right. That's right.
Going into practice Tuesday, and you see you guys ranked top 10 in the state.
Yeah.
What was the feeling like that day?
You know, I wouldn't say it was damage control, but it was more about getting the kids focused, because it's been a long time since we had seen Gresham in the top 10. And
your first year, 2 wins. Your second year, 5.
Yeah.
Then you go to 15, and now you're beating number 1 team in the state.
Yeah.
You ranked top 10.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sure Ethan was all over the place because he was there from the start to the finish.
Absolutely. And we reminded those guys of that, you know, just how far we had come. You know, I think we had Reynolds coming up, and Reynolds wasn't playing as well. And we went into that game and we didn't play very well. We were flat. You know, what was crazy is that North Medford trip. I mean, we literally had 20, 25 guys sick as a dog from that trip. And it literally carried over for 2 weeks, and we didn't play well. And, you know, we didn't play well against Reynolds. I think we ended up going up against Barlow, and they smacked us pretty good. you know, in their place, in their gym. And, you know, it was a fairly inconsistent conference season for us. I think we had some chemistry issues at times. I think that it was the most talented and deepest group that we had in 3-4 years, and guys wanted to play. And so it was, you got one ball and 5 spots and 12 guys who are all capable of being on the floor playing. So it was, again, a learning experience for us, for myself and my staff, on how to deal with some of the success, because they weren't used to it. You know, it had been a few years for us being, you know, going through a rebuild, you know, dealing with, now you're a winning program, now you're a winning team. And these are different things that you have to learn along the way that, you know, they hadn't had to do before. So, you know, can't make excuses. Everybody gets sick. Everybody does that. But I'm telling you, that trip, we came back and it was amazing how many guys missed practice over the next 2 weeks. And you could just see it. It was deflating because we were playing so well after that week. And then we hit a lull, and took us a while to get back.
So let's fast forward. So end of the season, playoffs. Your first game you beat was before you played Sherwood.
Well, we had to beat David Douglas to sort of clinch the top wild card spot. So we went into their gym and we got them. It was a great game. It really kind of got us back on track as a group, and that got us into the first round, you know, at Sherwood. And again, we were as good as we thought we were. We were the 4th seed in our conference. And you're talking about Barlow with all those guys, the all-state guys, Jesse and Evan, and Clackamas with Ben Gregg. We all know about Ben.
And Central
with all their talent. I mean, it's just right. And so you're going through going, man, you know, we're doing really well. We're doing as well as we can with some young guys, freshman point guard and no home gym. And to finish 4th, I think we were a little disappointed, but you know, we were fine. Going into that Sherwood game, they were the conference champion. We knew they were tough. They had some good senior leadership. It was a great game.
I was there.
Yeah. You know, we came back, had probably 2-3 chances to win the game. You know, Asaya rims one out at the buzzer. We go into overtime. You know, they get us by 1 in overtime. You know, the winner of that game goes and plays Jefferson. So it was a tough bracket. 2 conference champions we would have had to go through, but you know, to go from 15 to 16 wins in what we thought was, you know, the toughest conference in the state, no home games, you know, young team, freshman point guard, we felt really good, you know, about, you know, where we finished up, and core group coming back for what we hope is a 5th season this year. And but you know, it was deflating because we had gone through so many highs, you know, during that season, and to come up a point short, you know, for essentially the 2nd year in a row in the playoffs, you know, that was tough. And, you know, that's just part of the game. It was tough for those seniors who had been with us for 4 years, you know, that had seen the worst of it 4 years earlier, and had come through and really created a legacy for their class on what our expectations are now for our program. So that was hard, but you know, I've learned as a coach, and I'm sure you know it too, Brandon, but you have to enjoy those moments during the season. Everybody's so geared toward playoffs and the postseason and this and this and this. And it's like you go through all this time to try and get to the postseason, but you have to enjoy those moments along the way. And I did, and I did. And it's probably, I wish I had probably enjoyed a few more, you know, but just, you know, feel really good about where we're headed as a program, and, you know, excited about this group. Hopefully we can get them on the floor.
Right. Exactly. Definitely amazing. Great 4 years for you guys. So state tournament happens, Portland Pilots, and then out of nowhere, COVID hits.
Yeah.
You know, like thoughts on that, you know, like, I'm kind of speechless because, you know, right now, today should be the first game.
That's right. Yeah.
Today should be the first game.
Week. Yeah.
What is your team up to now? Are you guys allowed to practice? Because I don't even know this answer. Are you guys allowed to practice, or what is the NCAA?
You know, it's each district has their own set of rules on what you can do. And our district right now, Gresham Barlow, has, we're hands off. We can't be around our kids. We can do virtual workouts. A lot of our guys have trainers, which is great. We have a Zoom meeting with our guys once a week. We have our virtual workouts, 4 times a week. So, we're making sure that, not only, I'm not as worried about the guys that we know. It's these incoming kids that, it's like, they don't know what's going on. And, we know who they are through our youth program, but they don't really know what high school is like yet. And so those are the ones we've paid a lot of attention to. I know my varsity guys are working with trainers. They're in the gym. They're at our virtual workouts, and that's great. But that's all we can do. I know some groups. I saw Clackamas was doing some workouts outside, and I think it's sort of a phase 2 for them. So each district is different. And we had a meeting today actually with our AD and stuff, and it looks like maybe we're about a week or 2 away from being able to go onto the turf field and actually do some types of workouts live. But December 7th is sort of that day OSAA is put out there for, a decision. So we'll find out next week on what's happening, whether they move our season to the spring or start it later or cancel it altogether. So
wow.
Crazy times.
Yeah, no kidding. December 7th. Okay. Final question, Coach.
Yeah.
Okay. So, just hearing your story into how you started off as at a smaller school, 2A rebuilding to get into a 6A program and double down honestly on another rebuilding program.
Yeah.
And to take it where it is today, which is right there middle of the pack in the 6A. What kind of advice could you give to young coaches that's coming in the game right now? Even though it's COVID, and I get that. Like, what kind of advice could you give them as they step into a situation like you, where they're coming into a program like, all right, you got hired on a rebuilding program.
Sure.
Right. What advice would you give those guys? I
would just say, you got to have a passion for it, whether you're with a winning program or a non-winning program. You've got to have that passion. Your kids have got to know that you care and you want to help them get better. And I think building those relationships, I can't think the number of players I still talk to these days is fantastic. The relationship building is the key. If you get them to buy in, you create those relationships, you're going to have some success. Make character part of what you do. I mean, we see, this is what drives me crazy about AAU. I see some of these coaches, I see some of these systems, you're sitting in a 2-3 zone in 3rd grade or 4th grade. And it's like, what are you teaching a kid right now? You're trying to win that game. You're not trying to teach that kid. So, buy into the kids, and they'll work their tails out for you. You give them what you've got, you go in, you create those relationships. You've got good character kids, and they're gonna run through a wall for you. And for us at Gresham, again, I could have easily said, yeah, I'm going to see my win-loss record go way, way below where it should be, and I don't care about that. It doesn't matter to me. I think the fact that we've turned a school around, in a community that hasn't seen a whole lot of winning, at a school that hasn't seen a whole lot of winning in any sport, really, and we've got a brand new gym. We got a brand new school. I mean, there's so much excitement around our program.
Talk about that. Talk about the brand new gym when you're done.
Oh, state of the art. Fantastic. I saw it about 2 or 3 weeks ago. The facilities guy's a good friend of mine. I went in, we saw it, took some pictures. It's incredible. The weight room up top, sort of a half type track up top, windows everywhere. I think we had 14 baskets or something. Oh, it's wow. Just incredible. The floor looks amazing. Tons of bleacher space. It'll be, one of the top gyms that you see in our whole city. And so for a community like Gresham to get something like that in a new school, and now you've got a program that's, sort of trending in the right direction, it's fantastic. And, I've had chances to go other places, and I won't. I love where I'm at, and we're going to keep building this thing. We got a lot of things that we got to do to get better, and a lot of goals we want to achieve. And, but those young coaches, just get the buy-in from the kids, work hard, have that passion to teach, and don't emphasize so much on winning. Teach them, and the wins will come. Guarantee it.
Last point, real quick. Can you talk about the importance of building a youth program?
Oh, it's, that's got to be part of what you do as a varsity coach that runs a program. It's the foundation, and the relationships I have with those youth kids is fantastic. And Cuddy, my assistant, will tell you, I mean, he and I for 2-3 years were officiating every game, because we didn't have money in our budget to do it. So we're at every single game at the high school, officiating those games, getting to know our kids. I mean, we know all those kids by name, whether it's my 4th grade group or my 8th grade group, whether it's a gold team or a bronze team, we know all those kids. And, the goal for them, and we let them know, look, the goal is for you guys to get to us. And once you get to us, the expectation is that, okay, now we're going to put winning's is going to be important now, but we want to teach you the right way as you progress through your grade school, middle school, and then into high school. And hopefully by that point, we've got established groups to where we're competitive every year. And that's what the goal is.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Coach, I want to thank you for coming on. This is Posting Up with BBallDreams, episode 2. Coach Erik, thank you so much.
Appreciate it, buddy.
Thank you guys for tuning in, and we're out of here.
Thanks, bud. Take care.